Hey, welcome back everybody to another exciting Lord Duckman production. What's behind me here is a 1970 split-window Volkswagen bus from Brazil. This is a Brazilian model, which you can tell from the little piece of trim that's right here. Somebody pointed that out to me in an earlier video that I didn't realize that, so I got a little lesson on that one. You might have seen a little short video that I had up on it this week. This car is not going to be here very long because it's on an expedited service. A local dealership sold this one recently and didn't know who to bring it to because it had a bunch of problems, and they said, well, who in the local area works on these things that is very knowledgeable? And needless to say, my name came up and poof, here's the car. So we're going to work on some stuff on this today. Particularly, it's got a problem with the ignition lock tumbler is busted. The charging light is coming on. The seat will not adjust properly. One of the brake lights is out. And I think the brakes are slightly pulling to one side. Also, the shifter is a little sloppy, or so they say. I think it's normal for a bus shifter because it's just the way they are. Even with a fresh bushing and a fresh coupler, they still just feel a little bit loose. It's just the way they are. Here you go. This is for the boys up in Canada. Anyway, we're going to get to this thing, so licky, likey, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to plug the ding bell so you get updates every time I upload a video. Check out Duck Shit down there for all my social media links. And we'll be back right after that intro.
Well, guess who wants to be a part of my Volkswagen videos? It's the HIPA Store! The HIPA Store is a company that sells parts for lawnmowers, chainsaws, some go-karts, and even generators. And generator season it is, folks! Hurricane season officially kicked off on June 1st, and if you live here in Florida or anywhere in the southeast, you know it's time for your generator to get cleaned up and running. Don't wait! Get out there and get it started. Check to see that it makes power. Did you drain the fuel last year? I bet you didn't! So get on it! Check out the HIPA Store from links down below in the video description, because when you support the HIPA Store, you also support the creation of my videos. Special thanks again to the HIPA Store for sponsoring this video.
Alright, well here we are. The ignition tumbler, the whole column lock is actually this. This is the one that came out of here. Again, we're under expedited work, so I have to get this thing done as quickly as possible because it needs to ship out of here tomorrow. And tomorrow is tech session, so I don't have any time to dick with it tomorrow. I actually have to take care of this today. But this sucker was missing some very important critical pieces that fell out of it, and we have not been able to source the parts. But we did find an entire unit, and boy was it not cheap. We had to replace the entire damn thing. So I had the steering column all apart, I had the steering wheel out, I had the turn signal switch and a whole bunch of things out, and needless to say, it's a brand new unit under here now, which now can fit a key properly, and will start the car. It works. That's what's really important. Shifter, as I said, I took it apart and I looked. Oh, I do see something down there. Looks like I didn't finish tightening up one of the bolts. But other than that, the couplers and everything, we got new ones, and you don't need them. When I went up underneath the bus, that's why my creeper is out here and why it's on the ramps. I checked the coupler up in the back here. It's good. It doesn't appear loose. It doesn't appear sloppy. It actually looks like it's new. And then the bushing that's way up in the front here that supports the shift rod that goes to the shifter is also in good shape, so I'm not going to mess with that. He'd still like to shorten the throw on the shifter a little bit, but unfortunately we don't have one available to us, and I can't order one and get it here as quickly as we need to be able to get that to happen. But I'm going to tighten those bolts up down below there because those do appear to be just a little bit loose to me, and that could be one of the reasons why the shifter is a little bit sloppy. I mean, I had it apart, but I guess I just didn't snug it back up. My fault. Maybe it's my fault. I don't know. Needless to say, before it leaves here, it'll be fixed. Alright, this seat track, in particular the one right here on the left-hand side, has been replaced by somebody, and you can see some of the weld marks. That's one seat track welded to another seat track that's then welded to the floor. So this was not assembled properly. In addition to that, the distance between the rails was too far apart. So somebody had to compress the rails to get the seat on, and then of course it was given some time to sit that way. What happened? It rusted. So it bound itself up pretty good. So I was in here for about an hour with the seat forward, in here with a rubber mallet just gently tapping this, which you don't have a whole lot of motion in here, until finally I knocked the seat loose enough that I could wobble it out of space. When I looked at the top of the rails, they weren't only squeezed together, but they were also all wavy. And a wavy rail won't slide very well. It just yeah, you're going to have problems with that. So I got in there with a hammer and a pair of vice grips, and I did the best I could to straighten out that rail as best I can. The distance between the rails, and I think it's the same on a Beetle, is just under 17.5 inches. Now, don't hold me to that. I don't actually do this to make a measurement on it. I just do this to make sure that they're somewhat square. You don't want them to get wider as they, go further back, or, wider or more narrow, whichever direction. You want them to be as even and parallel as you possibly can. So I brought the rails in together a little bit closer. I flattened them out. And then I made sure that they were indeed parallel to each other. And I greased them up, and I slid the seat on. The seat is now adjustable where it was not before. You can actually sit in it and move it back and forth. It does work. So, good step in the right direction with one of the biggest complaints. Because what I understand, the girl that bought this is a teeny tiny little thing. And she's not going to be able to sit in it properly without the seat going forward as much as it can, which I think is a little silly because there's really not a whole lot of room inside this bus anyway. So if she has that kind of a problem, she's probably going to have to extend the pedals too. Well, we'll see if I end up back in the loop for that one. This bus isn't going too far away. I think it's actually headed over to Biloxi, which is about 2 hours or so from here to the west. So it's not too awfully far. We may end up seeing this bus again. So we got to do a little bit of work on that, see if we can get that straight. I'm going to sweep up the floor in there. It looks like it's a little bit of a mess. Try to just clean it up. And then the next thing we need to have a look at, and this was an issue that I noticed that the owner of the dealership did not notice, and that's that. Make sure we're not in gear here. When I turn the key in the on position, we have our idiot lights, of course. And when we go to start it, come on, get the RPMs up. I might have to give it a little bit of gas. There goes the oil light. Alright, well the generator light's staying on, so it's not charging properly. So I'm going to have to look at that. It's been sitting for a little while on the dealership lot without being run, so probably what's going on is the generator has lost its polarization. So you've seen me do that in the past on a Beetle before, where I took the wires off of the regulator, and then I hooked the generator directly to the battery, and don't follow what I'm saying verbatim. There's a very specific way to do this. If you hook it up wrong, you'll fry it. But it remagnetizes the magnets inside the generator that allows it to produce power. But one of the symptoms is you have a generator light that comes on after it's been sitting for a while, and sometimes when you rev it, it might get just a little dimmer, but never actually goes completely out. So if you're experiencing that, you might have to just remagnetize your generator. And it doesn't hurt to do it, even if it doesn't need it. So if that's not the problem, it's certainly something to test. So we're going to run through that on this real quick, and then come back and have a look and see if we solve the problem. I got a feeling you probably will. So, well, let's check it out. But before that, let's go check out the engine. It's running right now. I know you guys are going to want to see it. Got it up on a ramp here, which makes it easier for me to reach everything, because unlike the girl who bought it, I'm a big fella. And there it is. Single carburetor, single port. It says 1500 on the lid, but I don't know if that actually means displacement. I don't know how this Brazilian stuff works. They do things a little bit different. Here's that weird ignition module. The other Brazilian bus that was here had that also, which plugs in the side of the distributor. This one seems to be advancing properly. The other one did not, which is why we replaced the distributor on the other one. So this one we're going to leave it alone. But before I go any further, I will have to take that pulley off, remove the belt, and get up there and pull the wires off the regulator, because those are the ones we're going to be shorting out to the battery to turn that generator into an electric motor, so that way it repolarizes itself. Alright, well let me shut everything down. We're going to give that a shot, and we'll come right back and see if that takes care of things. here. Fuck it. You'll come back to it. Alright, after a little more evaluation here, I discovered that this voltage regulator, which lived up there, is missing a terminal. This is the wire that's supposed to go to the idiot light, and the idiot light wire, for some reason, was wired to positive on the generator. So in other words, the idiot light would come on and stay on all the damn time, which is not how it's supposed to be. So I don't know. I'm going to see if I can open this up and do a little investigation. If I can find a spot where the terminal's supposed to go, I'll solder one on. Otherwise, we have to replace this. This is not right. Now, he did say that it does charge properly, however, so it's just a matter of getting the idiot light work. And it's kind of important because if the generator is not functioning, the idiot light doesn't go out, of course. But also, if you lose this belt for some reason, then the idiot light needs to come on to warn you that you're going to have a potential overheating problem. So it's probably very critical, if not almost as critical as your oil light. You do not want to see that on while you're driving. And if you do, and you investigate, and your belt is fine, it's just not charging, well, you could probably still get a lot of miles out of it before that battery takes a shit. So keep that in mind if you're experiencing something like that. But yes, for certain, this is going to need some work. I'm going to have to either figure this one out or replace it. I don't know if I have another one. I don't think I can get one quickly. I know getting one from O'Reilly's was just, yeah, we're not doing that. Because 3 of them were defective straight out of the box, didn't work, and then they tried to blame me for it. And I'm like, no. Just all 3 of them are manufacturer defect. None of them work right. As soon as I put a Bosch in circuit, it was fine. So anyway, we're not doing that aftermarket regulator business from O'Reilly's anymore. So don't get those gold ones. If you see them in any auto parts place, gold regulators, stay the hell away. Alright, well anyway, let me see what I've got around here. If I've got another one, I'm just going to swap it out. That might solve the problem. But yeah, that's poopy. Well, lucky us, I found another voltage regulator. This one I started digging into it to see if there was a terminal or something that I could solder into, and no, it's not there. So this is just garbage. I mean, it might work, but without an idiot light, again, it's worthless. So we got a new one in there. It said made in USA on it too, which is kind of impressive. Let's see what happens now when we start it. Alright, here we go. Got our idiot lights. And would you look at that? Alright, well that solves that problem. Make sure it comes back on again like it's supposed to. Yep, they both did. Good. Alright, it solves that problem. We just need to get that mounted properly. And that resolves that issue. And then I think the last thing we need to get to is to make sure that the brake lights are working properly on both sides. I don't know which side is out. I haven't actually investigated it yet myself. But we got to clean up my tools and stuff back here and move on to the next thing. Just to make it a little more dramatic, I waited till it was dark. But yeah, we got a brake light out on that side. Right now there's a block of wood sitting on top of the brake pedal. So we'll have an investigation over here, take this light apart. It might even be the wiring on the back side of it, so it might be wise to just open up and feel the inside here. Let's see if that makes it come on. Nope, it did not. Okay, we'll open up the cover on that thing. And this camera certainly does not have as good of a low light sensitivity as the Sony does, so we're probably not going to come back until it's fixed. See you guys in a few minutes. Well, this proved to be pretty easy. It was just a loose bulb. So yeah, I'll clean up the terminals on it and then put it back together. Otherwise the filaments in it are good, so we'll get that fixed and then we'll wrap up this video. Alright, well I've had enough for the night. Mosquitoes are starting to bite like crazy, and got another one. Okay, enough. Time to go in. We'll finish this up in the morning. Well, it turns out we had a little audio problem here. Trying some new equipment out. Sometimes it just doesn't work out for the best. But I discovered that the tail light and the turn signal light on this side, the wires were actually switched on them. The brake light, however, was just fine, other than the bad ground that we were having there, and the fact that the bulb was loose really didn't turn out to be too big of an issue. So I fixed the wiring, shrink-wrapped everything back together, and it should be good to go after that. But then I came around up front and discovered that the right front turn signal wasn't working either. So I dug into it, discovered it just had a bad ground. We looked on the right side also and just made sure everything was nice and snug and tight and working properly as well. It appears good. The running lights are also working, so are the headlights. So I think we're good to go as far as the lighting department is concerned. We should be ready to take this thing for a test drive. But today it's so incredibly hot. It's close to 100 degrees today, and the sun is just starting to come up, and it is hotter than hell. So we'll try not to overheat ourselves nor the bus. Alright, I am way too close to this steering wheel. It's nice that the seat works. I'm still too close to the steering wheel, but that's just the way buses are. Alright, I gotta turn this thing around and get it off the ramp that it's sitting on, so we'll be just a minute. Shimmy, shimmy. Alright, here we go. You know, the shifter actually feels quite a bit better than it did, just for the fact that I tightened those bolts down on the floor. Because all the bushings and the couplers and all that stuff was part of the concern and actually part of the job task, and well, they didn't need to be replaced. Yeah, the shifter feels a lot better than it did. Like it's going, it's got power, it's good. I think it could use a little alignment. The steering wheel's not completely straight. Of course, that's outside of my expertise. I take them to a computer alignment shop and have them do them the proper way. So one thing I don't mess with is an alignment. No. These brakes were pulling a little to one side. You know what? They don't seem to be doing that anymore. They're better than they were. Drives like a typical split window bus. You know, no power. I mean, this is not some absolute pig. It'll get you around. I mean, they did for the last, what, 60, 70 years they were around. Yeah, it's still pulling a little bit to one side, but it's slightly better than it was. It doesn't seem dangerous. It's about as good as I'm going to get it, though, without doing an actual tear-down brake job. And now it's not pulling at all, so I don't know. I think we have reduction boxes on here also, because I just didn't downshift and it still has torque. And I think I'm in third gear. There's no way you would have been able to do that without reduction boxes. Alright. I think we're doing good here. I'm glad we got as much done as we did this morning, too, when we had that opportunity. Because that sun sure is hot as it's coming up. Really hot, man. Now that I know the sun comes up at 7 o'clock in this time of season, I guess it is, usually I do most of my work in the morning in the backyard when the house provides shade. And now I know if I want to do anything in the front yard, I probably need to get out there around 5 a.m. I got a lot of work cooking, guys. I got a backlog of about 7 or 8 cars right now, and I'm not exaggerating one bit. I mean, 7 or 8 cars are backlogged. I mean, that's a hell of a business to be in. I'm going to have to open up a shop or something. I mean, I have to. Because now there's people screaming. People actually want me to do work for them. Not just make videos, but like do real work. So we're going to have to see what comes up with that in the future. I mean, I'm still off from buying a shop space and everything by, you know, a year and a half, 2 years probably. As long as the economy turns around, we'll see what happens this November. That will probably make or break everything. Turn signals are working. Very nice. They're not flashing super fast like they were earlier. Alright. Can't wait to get Gregory together. But again, Gregory, my bus, won't be getting work done until I have shop space. I have to take that bus apart further than I want to, and I just don't have the space or the facility to do such a thing, because I need to spread everything out, and with how often it rains here, I can't spread everything out and, you know, let it sit that way for any length of time. So we'll get to Gregory the bus eventually. Probably, you know, once we get settled into the shop, it'll be after that. So it might be 2 years before you see the bus again in any large capacity, unless something breaks and happens sooner. Who knows? Who knows? I could win the lotto, right? Or maybe I'll have some benefactor that says, "Hey, Duckman, we're building you a shop now." I was like, "All right, I'll take it." All right. Well, I'm happy with the way this thing is driving. It's good. It's good. Of course, I got somebody tailgating me, but when you drive a Volkswagen bus, that just goes with the territory. And the brakes are still pulling a little bit to one side, just a little bit. Oops. Helps a lot if I put it in the right gear. Well, I'm happy with the way this thing is running and driving. I know all the lights are working. I know it's properly charging now. So I think the biggest of the concerns are behind us. Also, we have an ignition that works properly. The key works. And the shifter feels a lot better, and so do the brakes from where it was when we started. So I'm going to give this thing a thumbs up. I'm going to make sure that the dealership knows that they can come get it this morning before I leave for tech session. I'm just glad I was able to wake up this morning and get this thing finished, because I am not a morning person anymore. It used to be when I was younger. As I've gotten older, it's like, it's not a health or a body thing. It's not like my body tells me I can't wake up. I just don't want to get up. I'm done with people, and I'm done being told what to do, and I don't want to get up early in the morning anymore. So very often, when 7 or 8 o'clock comes around and the roosters start calling me, I tell them to go fuck off because it's not breakfast time yet, and I often don't find myself rolling out of bed until after 9. Sometimes later than that, if I'm actually working, checking email, answering comments, and doing research while I'm still in bed. Sometimes I don't get out of bed until, 10:30. Quite a life, huh? Working from my bed. I didn't even get a shower, I didn't shave, I didn't even take my first shit of the morning yet. And and I'm accomplished. And then sometimes at that point, if I was up late before, I actually might take a nap, and then I get up and have lunch. So I tell you what, life is a lot easier than it used to be when I used to have a regular day job. And I had an office, and I had people to appease, and customers that were screaming with deadlines, although that's what this job was, technically. We need this, we need it immediately. It's getting delivered on Saturday. Okay. Well, I guess that's going to be it for today. So, licky, likey, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to pluck that dingle belly so you get updates every time I upload a video. Check out duckshit.net for all of my different social media links. Thanks for watching, guys. And we'll be back with a little more content, probably on that 74 Super Beetle that I have, because I just got a whole bunch of mounting hardware for the engine and such, so we'll be putting the engine in that sucker very soon. I'm excited for that, because I want to get that thing running, driving, and get it out of here. Then I can move on to the next project. Like I said, I have like 7 or 8 cars backlogged right now, which to me is absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. And they're of a much higher caliber than they used to be. I mean, look at these things. And not the pieces of junk that you always see me working on of my own, although Eleanor really isn't junk, but you guys catch the drift. All right. Well, I'm going to leave this down here by the street. I'm going to move some cars around, and then put this back up in the driveway. Don't hit my mailbox. Buses sure are weird because they're all flat-sided. Alright, that's it for now. Thanks for watching, guys. Alright, this bus is just really nice. The green bus that was here before it was also really nice, but I prefer the color scheme on this one. I just really like the way this one came out. As far as I know, all the work and paintwork was all done in Brazil. This one has a little bit better fit and finish than the green one does. But they both drive just as well as the other. So, here it is. Alright, let's get the square moved. We'll put the bus up in the truck. Missed that shift. Another successful repair. Now, onto this. See if we can get this thing squared up. Needs a little more carburetor work.